If you're in tech, at some point, you'll need to spend a week out in Vegas for a tech conference. I'm going to share with you some tips that'll help you get the most out of your tech conference without making you lose your sanity. What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, right? Hi, I'm James with Digital Decision Makers, and I just did a 2-week stint in Vegas. I'm going to share with you some nuggets that made my trip so much better. There are plenty of videos out there talking about do this or do that while you're in Vegas, but not too many have practical tips for a week-long tech conference. Let's face it, if you're not comfortable, you won't get the most out of your experience. So let's start with the obvious, especially if you're coming from a humid East Coast environment. I came from Miami. The dry conditions in Vegas can make it tough for you. Don't forget, it's a desert out here. So bring lotion, lip balm, drink water. We all know that, right? But what you don't realize is that the dry conditions affect you everywhere. The dry air affects you in your hotel room, when you sleep, when you get up, when you go out, when you eat. So how do you deal with this? Tip number 1, buy a humidifier. There are several Walgreens and CVS stores up and down the strip. I was able to pick up a humidifier for around $35, and it was well worth it. It allowed me to breathe so much easier. I was able to get a better night's sleep. I didn't wake up with a sore throat. Couple that with a hot shower in the morning and voila, no more sinus problems due to the dry air. Tip number 2, stay close to the venue. It may seem like a good idea to save a few bucks and stay at a different hotel, but that's a bad idea. When you pull things up on Google Maps, you don't appreciate how huge these hotels really are. What looks like a few blocks on Google Maps actually turns out to be several miles of walking. Ask yourself, are you really prepared to spend 30 minutes going to and from the conference? Trust me, after spending all day at an event, the last thing you want to do is walk 30 minutes back to your hotel. Never mind if you have to run back to your hotel to do a quick conference call. That leads into tip number 3. It may seem obvious at this point, but wear comfortable shoes. Walking shoes or running shoes are going to be your best bet. Without realizing it, you may end up walking 30 to 50 miles in 1 week at a tech conference. And I've got the receipts to prove it. Now, let's move on to the more advanced tips. Do yourself a favor and bring a portable coffee maker. Imagine day 2 of the tech conference. You wake up super early in the morning if you're still on East Coast time, but you're still exhausted from the night before. Maybe you walked 10 miles yesterday. Maybe had dinner at midnight your time, and your body won't let you sleep in. So you're up and operating on 3 to 5 hours of sleep. The last thing you want to do is get up, get ready, go downstairs, and buy coffee. Not to mention, Starbucks may not be open yet. Or you may need to contend with all the other people trying to get their morning coffee. And for everyone saying, I'll just use the coffee maker in the hotel room. Well, I hate to break it to you, but we're in the post-pandemic era. Some of those creature comforts that you used to, well, they don't exist anymore. Some of those rooms don't have coffee makers anymore. And along those lines, you'll find that some of the hotels no longer provide refrigerators. They seem to have adopted the same checked bag policies from the airline companies. They may provide refrigerators for a daily charge. So before you book your room, you'll want to see if they provide a fridge, because you'll find that the fridge and a microwave will be vital to your stay. And that moves us directly into advanced tip number 2. Go stock your fridge. Stop by Walgreens or CVS and pick up some food. Pick up some quick microwavable breakfast, perhaps some bread, some lunch meat, to make some quick sandwiches. The idea is to make your stay as close to your normal life as possible. Have some things on hand so you don't have to step out every time you want to grab a quick snack. Let me give you a scenario. So you get up, you get ready, you make your coffee, you eat your breakfast. You plan your day, figure out what you want to accomplish, and then update your agenda. Then you head out to the conference. Otherwise, you know how it'll turn out. You don't get your morning coffee. Instead, you get ready, head down for coffee, and or stay in line. Or maybe you decide to go get your breakfast, which means you still have to get up, get ready, and head out. But these hotels are big. You may find yourself walking around for 30 minutes trying to find a restaurant. Maybe another 30 minutes waiting on food and so forth. Are you able to prepare for your day? Are you able to get your agenda together? Probably not. Then you head out to the conference where it's much more lively and noisy. Now you find yourself scrambling to get it together. Was it worth it? I just completed a 2-week stint in Vegas without losing my mind. And in order to do that, I did everything I could to make my life in Vegas feel like I was actually living in Vegas. So that meant I stayed at the Vdara. Why is that important? All of the rooms at the Vdara are suites with a kitchenette, a living room, a bedroom area. There's a desk with a view. This allowed me to work in a comfortable environment. And if you're used to working remotely, then you know that working from a desk is so much more comfortable than working from random tabletops. And before you say it, oh, it must be nice to have a suite. Well, the rates at the Vdara are comparable to the rates at other regular hotel rooms. But you have to be aware of your proximity to the conference venue. To give you a reference, the Vdara is a sister property to the Aria, which is at the southern part of the Strip. Many of the tech conferences will either be held at the Venetian or the Aria. If the tech conference is at the Aria, then perfect, the Vdara is close by. If the conference is at the Venetian, that's a different story. The Venetian is toward the middle of the Strip. That means it's approximately a 30-minute walk from the Vdara to the Venetian, so that's definitely something to keep in mind. For my 2-week stint, the conferences were held at the Venetian. So normally, I would have booked a suite at the Venetian. The Venetian is another hotel where all of the rooms are suites. Unfortunately, they were sold out. I decided that in order to make my stay in Vegas more comfortable, it was worth the walk, which meant I stayed at the Vdara, which felt more like a small apartment as opposed to a hotel room. All of these tips so far have been focused around making you more comfortable. You'll get more from your conference if you're comfortable. Don't they say you should always eat breakfast before morning test? Well, this is kind of the same thing. But in addition to that, one final pro tip is to put together a plan of action after each day at the conference. During the conference, you're going to become reinvigorated, re-energized. You're going to think of new ways to solve problems. Maybe you shift your focus and your vision, and this is all good stuff. So at the end of the day, write these things down. After 3 to 5 days at a tech conference, you're going to forget every awesome idea you had on day one. So don't make that mistake. Last but not least, enjoy yourself. Vegas is overwhelming, especially if you've never been there before. So take it all in. The lights, the atmosphere, it's all something to experience. There aren't too many places in the world like Vegas. And if you're asking yourself, what do I need to do to get to Vegas? Maybe it's just a question of leveling up your game. And if that's the case, watch this video where I lay out the top technologies to fast track your career. Thanks for checking me out on Digital Decision Makers.